Bienvenidos a este programa que hemos hecho con mucho cariño, que le hemos llamado Online Series del Havana Film Festival New York. Este ha sido un programa de todos estos meses en que queremos recordarles a ustedes la importancia del cine latinoamericano, la importancia del cine cubano en nuestro entendimiento y acercamiento, como no solo como latinos viviendo aquí, sino como ciudadanos de esa región que tanto nos importa, no solamente ciudadanos reales de pasaporte, sino de corazón. Ustedes que siguen el festival durante todo este tiempo, que nos han apoyado tanto. Y pues en esta pandemia también les queremos agradecer que hayan estado con nosotros y nosotros pues de haberles llevado, y estarles llevando estas historias. Y esta de hoy en particular, que es una historia muy humana, muy cálida y creo que muy apropiada para esta celebración del mes de la mujer, para esta conmemoración de los logros y del trabajo que han hecho las mujeres detrás de cámara, tratando de contar las historias desde su punto de vista. Y por eso hoy tenemos a Marta Bautis, la directora de Entre un Tango y un Danzón. Bienvenida, Marta, muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros este sábado. Y pues quisiéramos conversar contigo acerca, lo podemos hacer en inglés o en español.
Sí.
Y queremos conversar contigo acerca del proceso de realización del documental. So welcome everybody. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for supporting the festival, the Havana Film Festival New York. This online film series have been created with the purpose of reminding you that the Latino culture is very rich, it's very diverse, and the best way for us to understand ourselves and this moment that we are living is, I think, through cinema, through art, through these stories. And especially in this month, for us, it was very important to commemorate the history, the Women's History Month, with the work of realizadoras, of the directors behind the cameras, the women that have been telling these stories and have been stubborn enough to show their perspective and the way of making cinema. So thank you. And we have Marta Bautis. She's from Argentina, but she has lived in United States and in New York for so many years that I think she's also a New Yorker, a true New Yorker. And I would like to start asking the first question, Marta, with this idea of why I know you have been in Cuba many times, you have done other work there, but how and when was that moment that you decided to tell this story, and this very particular story, Entre un Tango y un Danzón?
Bueno, gracias primero, Diana, por invitarme y por permitirme compartir esta historia con ustedes. Así que thank you, Diana, thank you, the festival, to invite me and to allow me to share this story. The way this Between a Tango and Danzón started because it was in 2005, I went to Havana because I was invited to participate at the festival, the film festival, with the film that I did at that time, which was Global Tango. And it was a situation in Argentina when so many immigrants from tango dancers and tango artists came to New York, and some of them remained in Buenos Aires. When there, I found this community of tango there, like tango lovers, some of them who sang and some of them who danced tango. And so I film, and I didn't know what to do because I had so many other projects at the time, so I just left it there in a closet. So when I went back to Cuba 10 years later, I found some of the members of that community, and I found other people too who were like some new members of tango lovers, especially a lot of new dancers, young dancers who dance tango. And that's what I started. That's what it was born, Between a Tango and a Danzón, because I dance tango. I love tango. It is part of my culture. I was born in Argentina, Buenos Aires. And I noticed how tango in Cuba, there was such a culture. If I said I'm from Argentina, especially the older people, they started singing tango. And how the young dancers, they were so enthusiastic. Tango was their lives. And that's what I began. I put things from 10 years ago, and I brought it to, and I filmed from the prison, and I combined, and that's what it was born, between a tango and a danzón. I don't know if I should translate it into Spanish, Diana?
No, I think we could continue in English. The other thing that is very important for us too is to understand how was for you to because going to Cuba is not easy to to think about the whole production, the whole idea of making a documentary once you decided that that's what you wanted to do. So tell me about that moment and how you start making the whole production and working as a project and not only just an idea.
Well, Diana, what happened is I'm an independent, very independent filmmaker that works very simple with just a little camera, no lights, like a microphone, a camera, and with a single. Sometimes I do camera and I do sound and I do interview and everything. But I was very lucky when I filmed between a tango and a danzón. This for the last part, like I found this Cuban young man who helped me. And he was really very, very wonderful. So both of us, we went to different places, and we went to Matanzas, to Gibara, Havana, and we filmed, but in a very improvised way, basically. So it is I would say it's a work of love, right? Remember, we filmed in the Teatro Nacional, in the Hotel Nacional, and like there were like some curtains, so like the person who was helping me, he was holding the curtain, so we had enough light, and they were putting some chairs for an event, and we told them, can you wait for 10 minutes because we have to do this interview. So it was all very, very, like as I said, it's a work of love, and I don't know if that tells you the part of the story. I think your microphone is. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So one of the other important things about your answer is that, and it comes with this question, and this also is shot in a very cinema verite way,
Yeah.
kind of what I found, and it's always in your projects, Marta, is that you kind of, it's your subject, but also it's the life surrounding that subject.
Yes.
And that's what it is important in what you did in Tango and Danzong. How was the characters that you found and found those communities, and what was that you learned in the most important way as a social issue, as a human issue besides tango?
Well, for example, I learned about danzón. I knew very little about danzón really, and I learned, which I didn't suspect it, that there were like peñas, and in Havana there were so many peñas. Peñas is a place where you go and you dance, a community go, and there was this peña in this neighborhood, and another peña, and how people went there and they socialize, and they share their culture. Like in one of the peñas in Arroyo Naranja, one of the organizers, she said, like dancing is like danzón for us, dancing, promoting danzón, we also make revolution. We support the revolution. We support our culture, right? And I learned, for example, how like in how Havana, in one of these little like dark corners of old Havana, people dance tango 3 times a week. Oh, they used to. Now with the pandemic, things got a little different as everywhere in the world. But how they go there and they have this rich culture of promoting the culture and creating friendships, because people visit from other parts of the world and they create friendships, and they promote the culture, and it's very wonderful what I saw there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You came to this festival many years ago. I think it was in 2006 or so that you showed your first work, the first work on the festival, on the Havana Film Festival. And since then, the work of the directora, so what we are talking about, being the director and being a woman doing this job. I think you were one of the first one doing that in New York as a Latina filmmaker. How hard, or I don't want to say hard, but how challenging has been for you to do that job and to maintain and sustain that, identity as a filmmaker, but more especially as a director?
You mean in New York City or where?
In general, as a profession, Marta Bautis, directora, the director.
No, like in the field, I would say that I don't speak for myself, but I speak for all the women, and especially Latin American women and Latinas. Like, it's not easy. Like, this is a job, this is a field that it was dominated traditionally by male. So everything that we do, we have to put more effort to be able to accomplish. But like I say that we're strong, so we can open roads wherever we go, and we put a lot of feminine energy and a lot of passion, and this is why we're able to create our works. But it's something that we have to keep really promoting and saying we are here and we are not going back. I don't know if that answered your question, Pars. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did. The other part is that in this particular project, the idea of connecting the DANZÓN, and you explained that a little bit of a lot in your documentary, that tango, DANZÓN, and how those roots connect and make kind of the music is kind of the music in Latin America, or at least that part, it's kind of, they have same roots. It's, even Argentina is really on the other part of the continent. So tell me, as an Argentinian, how was for you to kind of find that connection and to understand what connects us as Latin Americans, as Latinos?
I was very surprised when I first went to Cuba, as I said in my documentary, when I heard like tango, Argentinian tango, the presence of tango there. But even though when I started working, I didn't suspect it, how important and how powerful the presence of tango. And then when I started talking to musicians in Cuba, I spoke with a lot of musicians about tango, but also about danzón. And they told me how both tango and danzón, they have the same musical ancestor, the habanera. And like the rhythm of the habanera, like really, as I said, is the ancestor of tango and of danzón. And the difference between tango and danzón, this is the musicians explained to me, it's only a little bit, they call it cintillo, which is like a little pause that they do it in Cuba with the danzón. But basically it's the same rhythm, it's the 2x4, the same rhythm. So everywhere that I went, I was so saying we are speaking the same language. I come from the south of the continent. You're here in the middle of the Caribbean, and we have these common roots that basically represents the friendship that exists in our two countries, right? And and with other countries of Latin America, like for example, you're from Colombia, right? Well, if you talk about tango in Colombia, my God, like I heard people that they go from New York, they go to dance tango in Colombia. Yeah. And the cumbia and the tango, maybe one day we can make a film about that.
Right.
But it really proves how close we all are how our roots, we have roots in common. And that's what I learned in Cuba. It was very surprising. I'm telling you, one time I took this is in 2005, I took a little boat, the little boat that goes to Regla. And I was going with the camera, and there was this man who was there, looking there, just doing an old man, like looking there. And he saw me, and he said, "From Argentina, you're from Argentina." He started singing a tango of Gardel. And then he wouldn't stop singing. So that's what it is.
That's a beautiful thing. It's true. Music connects us, I think, in so many ways that is incredible. As a filmmaker, let's go back to that. And you're a person that you take the camera, you do almost everything, and you edit, you do a lot of things. How much do you think that idea of working women, that if a woman wants to make a film, she has to do everything herself, whereas now I think it's more like a lot of people collaborate. Is that true, or is that still like for you, like independent movies, it's just me, Marta, trying to do everything?
It's a decision that we all make, Diana. Sometimes, like when you want to work with the group, I notice some women and men too, that they have to spend like maybe 10 years raising funds for the film. And maybe I don't have the patience. And what I do is, because I have my camera and I can edit myself, so I just go and I enjoy the process of making the film, and then I enjoy editing, and I don't have to account to anybody. And maybe it would be different. Like maybe it would be more vicious films if I had a whole crew, because that's the way filmmaking is, a collective skill. But my decision is in this lifetime that I'm living now is I like to work by myself, right? And a couple of times I tried to work with the groups, and it became very difficult. It's a personal decision. I do encourage people to try to work with other people if you have the budget, and if you have a good crew. But my choice is to work like that, is to work by myself, or with a minimum. I was lucky, like everywhere I went, because I film in Argentina, in Nicaragua, in many other countries, and there's always the local people that they come and they help me. And some of them, they prove like they're so good that then finally I gave them the cameras, and they start filming with their own, and it's wonderful to work like that. So it is their film. Eventually, it's not my film anymore. It is their film.
Yeah, that's true. And for Latinas, how you they said. So Grito Production say, well said, Marta.
I'm sorry?
Well said, Marta.
Grito well said, Marta. Gracias.
The other thing is that on the process of doing this, did you have the opportunity to kind of, as a dancer, to think that, okay, these are particular stories or that reflect what I went through when I learned to dance tango? For like, what was your what I mean is, what was your process of like learning tango, and if that, when you were doing this, when you were making this movie, kind of reflect the search that you did, or the path that you took in this documentary?
Well, you see, like tango for me is part of my roots. And when I came to New York, I came many years ago in New York, and like tango was not so popular then. And then like some years ago, I got in touch with tango, and it became my passion too, as to so many other women or men, they started dancing tango, and it's a way of life for them. So when I went to Cuba and I saw this tango community, and they were so passionate, of course, I got to know all the milongas from Cuba, and every time there was a milonga, there I was, and I was dancing tango with the Cubans. And let me tell you something, they're good dancers. They're good tango dancers, those Cubans, yeah. Especially, as I said, in the Lojo del Ciclón in Havana, 3 times a week they had milongas, and I really admire how well those dancers were. So tango is my passion, and it connects me to my roots, and that's what I think. I did 3 different films, 1, 2, 3, 4 films that I did. Right in my website, you can see them about tango. In Argentina and in Cuba. Right? And maybe I make another one. I don't know. Whenever the time comes. And right now it's been a year like we're not dancing tango, right? But it's been a year. Yeah. I want to answer something that I don't think I answered before. You asked me, Diana, how did I meet my characters, right? And it's very interesting because I went there and I know some people from years before, but then it's like a process. And those who make films maybe this way, maybe they connect to that. You feel like whoever needs to be in the film is going to be there for you. It's going to appear. And you start by word of mouth, or because you hear about the person, but the characters. Once you start the process, it seems like you just have to follow the process. Whatever it's going to take you, you never know where it's going to take you, right? Because I found these characters. One time I was in a film festival in Matanzas, and I saw this man who was from the Cine Club, that he had this shirt that said, Festival Tango and Gibara. What, you mean this tango in Gibara? Gibara is 12 hours from Matanzas, Yeah, so I got in touch with the people from Gibara, and the next year, a couple of months later, I went to Gibara, 12 hours in a month to Gibara, and that's what I filmed in Gibara. And I could have filmed in other places too, but just you have to limit yourself a little bit, right? But so everything happens because it has to happen. Like I still have that shirt that says, like, somebody gave me the shirt, Tango Gibara. It took me to Gibara, and then the film premiered at the International Film Festival of Gibara, who was founded by Humberto Solás some years ago. So that's what happened. It happens because you start walking and you don't know where you're going to finish.
That's it's so unpredictable, really, the path sometimes. Tell me, for you, what is the next project, or what you've been working on this months of a year that we've been, away?
I've been working in another film that I'm very proud, and it's very up to the moment. This is the topic of the moment. It's called Displacement and Hope, and it's about immigration, with stories of displacement and hope, because this is what it is, immigration, displacement. Nobody leaves your place of origin just because, unless you're really motivated by very powerful forces. And this is the story of Hermes, this fella who was forced to leave Mexico, came to the United States, and eventually settled, and he's going to college now. But he tells the story that is the story of so many young women and men and children and all the people, and how they cross the frontier, cross the border, the things that they have to suffer here, and always the hope of being able to really go ahead and being able, simple things such as to have a job, to have an education for your children, and you never forget your countries, but to remember that the situations are very sad and very, very dramatic in some of the countries. The violence, all kinds of horrendous situations that they force them to come. So hopefully we can premiere this as soon as the wall opens, right? Because
devuelvan la calle, that they give us back the streets and life outside. And this is I hope that we have it at the festival.
Oh yes, of course. I like Between a Tango and a Danzong premiere at the festival, and I love it. It was such a great festival, and it was so friendly, and the people, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. So yeah, so of course it's a promise.
Very nice. And with the tango and Tango and Danzong, have you had the opportunity to show it to the people in the circuit? Did they see themselves in the film in Cuba?
Oh yeah, what happened is like I was invited by Casa de las Americas. I think it was this is in October of 2019. You know, before like, and the idea they show it, and everybody went there. I'm sorry, give me. Everybody went there, and then they show it. They show it in El Ojo del Ciclón, and then they show it in UNIAC, or the Union of Artists of Cuba. So it was shown, and everybody was so excited, really. And like when they show it at UNIAC, even when it was a work in progress, it was a small, not such a big room, and all the danzoneros went there, and it was very moving, Diana, because I saw some of them, they had tears on their eyes, and some of them it was shown twice at the UNIAC, and they went twice there to see it. So it was very emotional, and it was very emotional to see them when I see them coming down the street to enter Casa de las Americas. I hadn't seen them for a year. I said, "Oh my God, it was so beautiful," and they were so happy. Yeah, it was very emotional. Yeah.
Okay. Someone is asking your website and social media for people, to know, because your Tiempos Azules. The website of Marta Bautis, if you can give us that information at some point, Marta.
Yes, it's www.tiempoazul.org. I don't know if you want me to spell it for like those.
No, we will do it so people know tiempoazul.org.
And I have like about 10 minutes of each one of my films, my feature films, I have like, oh my God, I have like 14 films already. Some of them are old, but I have about 10 minutes so they can see them there.
Have you been able to, like with those films, have a distribution channel or places where you can move your films? I know you have many resources and you are an incredible, really, you are a filmmaker, one of those that never sit and wait for someone to do the job. You always do it, Marta, so that's an amazing thing. But I would like to know what you do with your films, where people can find, because there are incredible films.
Diana, it's tiempoazul.org. They just corrected it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, so there are different ways of distributing. My first two films, Women Make Movies, had them, and then I started distributing like by myself through Tiempo Azul Productions. But some of them, they have different ways of distribution. For example, I did one, A Condor in the Reeds, which is about the Mapuches in Argentina. And that I gave copies to the members of the community. And then they wrote to me, they said that A Condor in the Reeds is about the struggle of the Mapuche people in Argentina, in the south, in Patagonia. And they called me and they said, your film is being shown all over Patagonia. But how? They give copies to each other. They copy them and they copy and they copy to each other. And even now, sometimes I get messages, or I see, it was shown here, it was shown there in community centers in Patagonia. And for me, that's very moving, right? So a lot of the films, they have mass grassroots distribution. And other ones, I don't try to make a point of selling them. I just have them on my website. They're available. But basically, whoever needs to see them, they will see them.
Yeah. That's true. You are always generous. And what would you tell a Latina that is starting, as a filmmaker, as a directora, as someone that wants to tell their own stories?
I would say, number one, you have to have a lot of passion. passion to draw. You have to be interested in issues like you have to be involved in issues that really I would say they have a heart, that you really have a heart for them, that you like them, that you like to know more, that you like to grow with them, right? That's number one. Then it would be good to have a budget, right? So if you have ways of you can organize a budget, I'm not against that. What happened is it's hard, right? I would like to. It would be good if you have like one or two people that work with you, that you get to know, maybe somebody who does camera or who does one of the important jobs, I would say, and you can work much better like that. But the most important thing, I said, like, you have to have passion. And if you have passion, then nobody's going to be able to stop it. No matter how, really, no matter the circumstances, you can make it.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I think if you want ask a question, Marta is here to answer that and take advantage, really, because it's always a pleasure, not only a pleasure, but also a learning experience when you talk to the filmmaker. There is one question that I always love to do and to ask is that, what did you leave out of the film that you would really, all filmmakers, when I ask this question, it's like, oh yes, I love this scene or this interview. Did that happen to you in Entre Tango and Danzón, that you had to decide that there was some struggle there trying to that?
Well, it's interesting because the film, like, it got criticized, especially by some good friends in Havana, that they're film critics, because you should leave this scene and this other scene out. And that was some of the scenes of the older people that I met 10 years ago. And unfortunately, some of them, they're not alive. Most of them, they're not alive, right? So it was my choice. I said, I have to honor them and I have to put them in the film. So I couldn't leave that out, because I said that part was criticized by the critics in Havana. It was my choice to leave that. And it's hard, because for us filmmakers, we want to put everything. We're in love with our footage and we like to put everything. So we have to edit. And I'm sure I left some things out, but I try to honor all the ones that contribute to the film. Even sometimes I have to stretch the script a little bit to go here and to go there, right? But my intention was to recognize, especially the older filmmakers, the ones who sang, because they don't dance, but they sang. A lot of them, they pass on already, right? So then for me, it was so much pleasure to be able to honor them that way, to acknowledge them in the film,
No, that's nice, because it's not. Oh, yeah, and I understand that, because making documentaries not always about aesthetics, about how look that or how well shot is something, but what people say in that moment, or what you are showing, what emotion. So I guess that must be something like a way to honor them, honor the pioneers. And
and I saw, maybe because I love tango, and in Havana I met so many people who love tango. When they saw that film, and when all of a sudden they see Carlos Gardel in the screen, or Libertad Lamarque, they were like, oh my God, they were almost crying. They were crying, really. I noticed other people, they don't like tango so much, they were a little indifferent, But I know somebody, this woman, when she saw Hugo del Carril, she was fainting.
Oh,
oh my God. and the Barbarito Diez, Barbarito Diez. Yeah. And this is important. I like to tell a story. I don't know if Sonia is watching this, because I follow what people were telling me, and they didn't tell me about Barbarito Diez, so I didn't include it in the film. And then when Sonia saw a rough cut, she screamed at me, what do you mean? I'm talking about Sonia Rivera Valdez. You don't put Barbarito Diez. You can't talk about DANZÓN without Barbarito Diez. So I I start searching for Barbarito Diez, and I have to insert it in the film, So it's like those who love tango and love danzón, they were mesmerized by the film. As I said, some of the critics said, well, you should have taken this out and this out, but it was my choice to leave them in spite of them, to leave it.
Yeah, no, and the beauty of that film is kind of like you feel that it's made by an insider, someone that knows what it's talking about. So thank you, Marta. So we are gonna wrap up. I don't know if there are questions, but I know it's a very nice Saturday here at least in New York, and for sure in other parts of the country. But thank you everybody for supporting us, for following us, for encouraging us to keep going. We would meet again soon, but meanwhile, just check our social media, our webpage. We are preparing always until the festival it starts. We are preparing the series movies that you can watch and learn about our culture, about Latino culture and Cuban culture. So thank you so much, and thank you, Marta Bautis. We are waiting for that film to be shown in our festival. You promised live, so you have to keep it that promise. And we will see you at the festival.
Y gracias Diana, y gracias al festival por invitarme. Thank you, Diana, and the festival for inviting me. It's been a pleasure for me to share this with you.
Okay, thank you, Samantha and Gio, for making this happen. Bye.
Okay.